What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Took the last couple of days off to celebrate Easter with the family. If you guys celebrate, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Before I get started, I will be live tomorrow. At least I plan to be live tomorrow. I'm going to try to get a couple of other YouTubers on to do my first live mock draft simulation with you guys. I'll also try to have another video up on the Gettleman Project in which I will be drafting a first-round wide receiver, and we'll see how it plays from there. Again, I'm going to be doing every possible scenario I could think of, which means I will be drafting Micah Parsons eventually. I'll be drafting an edge rusher. I'll be trading down, things along that nature. But I always love doing that leading up into the draft. But in this video, we're going to jump into the news of the day as the New York Giants have added another coaching staff on their roster with Russ Callaway. Callaway, formerly of LSU. Before that, he coached at Samford. And before that, he coached at Alabama with Joe Judge. And we're going to talk about the credentials that he could bring to this New York Giants team. But before we do, let's talk about last year's offense that struggled mightily. And a lot of New York Giants fans couldn't stand Jason Garrett and his offense, and they thought that we needed to spice this up. Ultimately, the New York Giants decided to bring Garrett back, I think due in large part to familiarity with Daniel Jones. As bad of a situation as Jones had, you could say the same for Jason Garrett. And hopefully in year two, Garrett and Jones could come together and really start to make this offense come alive. An offense that ranked 31st overall, an offense that ranked 31st in the red zone, and an offense that, quite frankly, lacks some creativity, especially with Saquon Barkley out. With Barkley back, adding Kenny Golladay, adding John Ross, adding Kyle Rudolph, it should assist the New York Giants with a better offense. But another thing that Joe Judge has done, he's made changes to his coaching staff, and I think it's clearly shown you that Judge is going to have a lot more say on the offensive side of the ball this year, possibly than last year. He promoted Freddie Kitchens, one of his best friends, to be an assistant, probably the lead assistant, to the offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett. Of course, Kitchens took over as the offensive coordinator when Garrett went out with COVID last year. So I think that is a welcomed addition. He also brought in Rob Sale, who he formerly coached with. Sale, the offensive line coach, will be the offensive line coach with the Giants, has former offensive coordinator experience. And now they bring in their latest coach, which we're going to pull up the tweet here, former LSU senior offensive analyst, Russ Callaway. This coming from Matt Zenitz. I hope that's pronounced properly. I got it off of Dan Duggan, but he was the initial guy that broke it. Source, the New York Giants are hiring LSU senior offensive analyst Russ Callaway to be an offensive assistant. Before LSU, he was the offensive coordinator at Samford. And he's known to be a guy that throws the ball a lot. A young, innovative mind, very smart, very intelligent, and he specializes in the red zone, but we're going to dive further into that. Of course, the Giants last year struggled mightily in that part of the field. Russ Callaway enters his 5th season on the Samford football coaching staff and his 4th as the OC. Callaway specifically coaches the team's quarterbacks. He coached the team's receivers for his first two seasons on the staff. For the last 2 seasons, Callaway mentored record-setting quarterback Delvin Hodges in 2018. Hodges earned the Walter Payton Award for top offensive player in all of FCS football. Later goes on to talk about his statistical accomplishments and the amount of yards that he threw overall, that it was only topped in FCS by Steve McNair. Well, at Alcorn State, I believe he went 3rd overall and, of course, was a quarterback in a Super Bowl for the Tennessee Titans. As a unit in 2018, Samford's offense led the nation in passing yards at 392.7. The offense ranked 4th nationally in total offense at 516 yards a game, and 8th in both red zone offense at nearly 90%, and on first downs at nearly 30%. So I thought that was a really good statistic there, the red zone offense, which I'm going to dive even further into while he was at LSU. In 2018, under Callaway's instruction, Samford led the FCS in passing yards and was given a tremendous stamp of approval from Coach O, of course, from LSU, Coach Orgeron, immediately after being hired. He is tremendous. Orgeron told the Off the Bench this summer in 2020, I think Russ is going to be a great coach at college football. He already proved himself at Samford and had one of the best offenses in the country. I got both of these articles, one off the LSU website, the other off the Samford website. Next thing. I think Coach had only been on the phone. This was a lead assistant for Coach Orgeron at LSU talking about Coach Russ Callaway. I think Coach Orgeron had only been on the phone with Russ for 6 or 7 minutes, and I was just sitting there. And Coach looked at me, said, Derek, LSU special assistant to the head coach, and from the beginning, with the coach every day for the last couple of years, I kind of get a good vibe for it. And then coach was like, Russ, why don't you come down here, man? I'd love for you to be a part of what we're doing. And then it's been 110 miles an hour ever since. Coach likes the energy that some of the younger guys bring, but they've got new ideas, Panamsky said. They're not just doing the same things that some of the older guys are doing. So we found kind of a good mesh with guys like Joe Brady. Brady, of course, was the really strong offensive mind that got Joe Burrow drafted first overall and then was hired by the Carolina Panthers. There were a lot of people that felt like Callaway could be the new Joe Brady for the LSU program. With Russ coming in from Samford and being someone who's called plays and worked on design elements and all this, he's a great person to put in the room with Steve and Scott Linehan and some of these guys who've got a tremendous amount of experience, because some of the spread things that Russ knows like the back of his hand. He's able to say, well, this is what I've done before and gotten some success, and add some new wrinkles to what we've already done with that. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do with the New York Giants, at least for now. Now, make no mistake about it, Callaway, by some of his credentials with his ties to Judge, could very well be potentially the future offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. But what he's going to do here is basically what I think he was going to do with LSU. Add some wrinkles to this offense. Add some creativity, which I think will be welcomed by a lot of New York Giant fans. He's very smart, very intelligent, knows football, and I think the most unique thing about him is that he's worked on both sides of the ball. Said Iowa running back coach Derek Foster, who worked with Callaway at Samford. He has it. He has the tools, he has the ability, he has the mindset, and can coordinate an offense. He understands how to cater to his players, and he's full of energy. I love being around him, enjoyed coaching with him, and can't say enough about him. Sounds like somebody who will fit Joe Judge's culture just perfectly. A guy that coaches and players love being around, a guy that's very intelligent, and he's worked with Joe Judge. Next up, I want to pull up this. Russ had a great experience at Samford, was an outstanding coordinator, did a lot of good things, Ogeron said, but he's hungry. He's been to big-time schools. I don't know how good he was, to be honest with you, until we got him. And his enthusiasm is infectious. He's an outstanding coach and taught well by his dad and learned well. I do believe the guy's going to be a coordinator and a head coach, and it won't be long because he's one of those types of minds. He's a great worker. He's here at 5 every morning, working with Coach Ensinger, and he has a bright future ahead of him. And then finally, I wanted to pull up this as well. This is what he was due to take on well at LSU. It's what he was going to be promoted to before the New York Giants grabbed him. As an analyst, Callaway worked closely with Ensinger, breaking down film and drawing up various adjustments to the offense could make to run more efficiently. There weren't many details provided about what his new role with the program will be, but if the passing game coordinator job is ultimately his, Callaway will likely take on the role of third down and red zone play calling. He specializes, it seems, in that area in terms of red zone play calling, something that the New York Giants struggled with mightily this past year. It's why a lot of New York Giants fans were excited that we brought in Kyle Rudolph. We're excited that we brought in Kenny Golladay. We had very little creativity in that area. I also went back and read some excerpts. Well, at Samford, it's what he was known for. He ran a lot of RPOs there, a lot of creativity. He's a young mind that's going to bring energy to this New York Giants coaching staff. I welcome him aboard. I think it's a tremendous hire, and I think it just starts to show you that Joe Judge is really starting to get more control of this football team in year 2 as the New York Giants look to expand that offense with third-year quarterback Daniel Jones. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.